Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Today is a fun video for me. I hope. So I purchased an Audi S4. I believe it's a 2006 Quattro 4.2 naturally aspirated. This car came out of Seattle and it literally got dropped off, actually right here. Got dropped off here. We drove it in, parked it here, and then we moved it over here. So I honestly maybe drove it 20 feet, 30 feet, if that. What I did see was the check engine light for misfire codes. I think 3 cylinders were missing. It didn't feel excessive, it didn't feel major, but you definitely felt the misfires a little bit. So this car has been sitting here for almost 2 weeks now, and I'm starting to get parts in. I got new ignition coils, new spark plugs, and I have a new hood strut coming in because this one doesn't hold. Unfortunately, Dad is here, but we are going to start replacing the ignition coils and the spark plugs. So I am already seeing different ones here, and what I've been told is when you do ignition coils, when you do spark plugs, you want to do them all at the same time, in the sense of don't change one spark plug and leave the 7, you know, OEM or the ones that were in it before. Don't change 2 ignition coils, leave the other 6 in there. Change all of them. But right now we're gonna do all 8 ignition coils, all 8 spark plugs, start the car. Hopefully it's not missing anymore, and then for the first time I'm actually really gonna drive it. And I guess we'll see how an Audi S4 runs. Now, in typical BMW and Audi fashion, we have these little clips. I don't know if you guys heard it, but that should be enough to get this off. It's starting to move. But basically, there's the other clip. You want to listen to that clip and then slide this whole wiring assembly off, and then we'll be able to literally just pull out the ignition coils. So with 2 hands, I'm going to go ahead and do that. And first things first, remove this oil dipstick. You guys can see I got a little bit of oil there in order to slide this last part off, but we have this off. Just place this somewhere to the side and then start pulling the ignition coils out. We got this side out. I see spark plugs in every single one of them. But honestly, these don't look to be that bad. So I'm a little bit shocked. My guess is these were operating as they should. These are still OEM and they weren't firing, but we're just gonna replace all of them. So next thing is to get in there and get the plugs out. Here are the old plugs, and I'm starting to see a pattern. New plugs were in the new ignition coil slots, and old plugs were in with the old ignition coils, and you guys can clearly see a difference. Although these are both NGK, but look at that, the design is different. So someone basically did a half job on this car and replaced those that were missing, but you have to replace all 8 at the same time, or all 8 at the same time. So we're just gonna roll with it and do all 8, do it properly, do it the correct way this time. Here are the plugs that I'm using. Bosch with this design. So we're gonna start dropping them in and start tightening them in. This side is done for the sake of time, because Dad is still holding the hood. So everything looks nice, tight, snug. These bolts were missing, so I'll see if they are inside the car. If not, then I'll probably find some at home and basically tie that down. This side was very easy. I did remove this coolant reservoir from this side right here. So there's one clip here. I guess not a clip, it's a bracket type of deal that slides in. So basically this side is done. Now we get to work on this side. This one will be a little bit more challenging. I take this guy out right here and then slide this assembly out. It'll give us a little bit more room. I'll put this one back in here. That will help us reach 1, 2. This one I'm afraid we're gonna have to take this air box out. or at least disconnect it partially. But at least let's start with these. So this side we were able to remove the wiring harness. I mean, it dangles, but use two hands, tie it down, move it out of the way, whatever. And let's start removing these coils. I was able to remove all 4 ignition coils. This last one, just moved this out of the way and then gently at an angle pulled it out right here. Didn't struggle too hard, I would say. Honestly, it was pretty darn easy. So now let's remove the old spark plugs and drop some new ones in there. And just like that, this side is done. Honestly, it's super easy. Looking at this side, all of these spark plugs and coils are probably original, because this actually even says VW. I don't know if plugs are original, but they are not new. So by the looks of it, they only replaced 2 spark plugs and 2 coils. Left the other 6 OEM. But let's start it and see how well she runs. It does have an exhaust, which we'll hear later. Sounds healthy. Let's check these connectors. Okay, we're gonna close it up. I'm gonna clean all of this up right here, and then we'll take it out, because like this, it was also running fine, but once you put it in gear and start moving, that's when you felt the misfire. So I'm gonna clean all this up and try to drive it. Alrighty guys, if I'm being honest, I am a little bit nervous. Left parking light, okay, who cares? And I didn't close the hood all the way, so we're gonna do that. Honestly, kind of feels fine right now, but I'm nervous because I don't want another project. I have one too many of them as it is. And the exhaust in the back is kind of throwing me off a little bit, because it's like, so it's, you know, almost like a misfire, but not really. Well, I don't feel a misfire, I don't think. But there's definitely almost like a slight delay in gears. So I don't know if it's because it's been sitting. You guys see me? That one was fine. So you guys see me kind of move. That one was also fine. I mean, it could be that it's a completely cold start. I mean, I'm not pushing it. Or I don't know. But it seems like engine is running really, really well. Nope. I just tried to push it. There's almost no power, and check engine light is flashing. So let's turn around, go back to the lot, and pull codes, see what it could be. Let you guys hear the exhaust if you will hear it. And I'm smelling something. I don't know if it's from exhaust. I don't think it's from the motor. It sounds like exhaust fumes. So yeah, let's check the code, see if it read or registered anything from my half-a-mile drive. I don't know if it will show anything just because how much driving I did, but clearly there's an issue, and it's an Audi, so hopefully it will show us what's up. I really hope it's not a misfire, but random misfires pending. Cylinder 8 misfire detected, and cylinder 6. Okay, so we could take a look at cylinder 8 and 6, see if something is not very connected. I left a lot. No luck with the Audi S4. My guess is, just from briefly kind of reading up on it, it might be a fuel injector, so that will be my next step, replacing both of those fuel injectors for cylinder 6 and 8. If that doesn't work, then we're going to look at the wiring for the ignition coils. Maybe it's an electrical issue, but as of right now, unfortunately, yeah, this is a project car, but it's okay. I'll kind of focus on it when I have time and go from there. Ignore the navigation. I don't know how to turn it off.
Several days later.
For you guys, it's a split second. For me, it's probably a week and a half. We were out on vacation and whatnot. But in this box, I have new fuel injectors. Let me actually open it up. And they are this nice blue color. Off camera, I replaced the hood strut, so it should hold now. There we go. And honestly, I think just so that I don't waste a lot of time, we're gonna replace this side for now, see if it improves the idle. Hopefully it does. If it does, then we'll just replace that side also. In order to get this off, there are these pins underneath. Just push down and then gently pull up. As you guys can see, we got that pre-loosened a little bit. Now the job will be to remove this railing right here.
Look at the gasket.
So actually I have to take the whole thing off because it's more or less one piece, so you can't lift one up. But it's not too difficult. Again, unclipped everything. And here's our fuel railing. These will have fuel pressure in them, so removing them we'll have to be pretty careful because they will probably spray some fuel. And I mean, since we're here, might as well just replace all 8 of them. So Andre figured out a good system to take them off. So you pull off that bracket and then just wiggle, 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 and it will probably spray a little bit of gas on your hands. There you go. So don't smoke, don't have anything flammable when you're doing this. I don't know if this is going to be it for all of them because it's all connected. So we'll just probably try to drain it off and replace the rest of them. So I got these on and it looks like they are not the right ones, which is unfortunate. And this is how it goes sometimes. All this work, we got a whole bunch of gas, but I guess for next time we're gonna be prepped, yeah?
Yeah.
Everything is more or less done, no fuel pressure. We know how to do it. So it's gonna stay here for another week or so until we get new ones.
Much later.
Try number 3, guys. Here are the new injectors. Hopefully these will fit and hopefully no more misfire. We're gonna get it done real quick, off video, and see how it goes. Bad news is those also didn't work. So the seller keeps screwing up the order. I don't know for which car he's sending them for, but the size is different. I thought maybe, you know, newer upgraded injectors, they will work, but connector doesn't work and they don't go all the way down. So I bought some OEM injectors. Hopefully these are gonna work. I'm gonna try to put them in. Hopefully no more misfire. I guess let's see how this turns out. Alrighty guys, finishing up. Hopefully it starts. The car has been sitting for about 2 weeks. Hopefully the battery is still good. And hopefully this fixes the misfire. Lights are kind of dim. Dum dum dum. This one right here, if you guys will still see it. Some gas is coming through this one, so I'll have to make sure everything was put on correctly. I mean, I'm pretty sure I did, but clearly it's letting fuel through. So I get to pull everything apart now. Let's see if it's fixed. Okay, perfect, good so far. So what happened was, you guys see this one? This is the old rubber and it's too smushed and it was letting gas through, and that's the one I struggled the most. So I think that was the problem. I basically pulled off the gasket off this old one, put it on the new one. I guess now let's start it and see how well it runs. Go ahead babe, try to start it. Wow, these are self-adaptive headlights. I just saw them move back and forth, up and down. I mean, it sounds like it's running pretty good. Ultimate test is the drive test. We're gonna clean up, let it warm up a little bit, and then we'll go on a drive. Still got the check engine light on from last time I did not clear it. I mean, it seems to be good now, but her reaction, I was like, whoa. I guess, to be honest, now that I put it in gear, it doesn't sound that good. So I don't know. Now it's showing me brake pads, windshield wiper fluid, some kind of bulb is out. So I don't know. Typical Audi stuff. I'm just gonna take it down the street nice and easy for now. I mean, so far actually it seems to be pretty solid, but it's only been running for 2 minutes roughly. So I'm just gonna go down the street, and then on the way back we're gonna see how well it does. Still feeling a little sluggish. Nope. There it is. So, still having a misfire clearly. Sounds real nice. It looks real nice. It's liking power. It's liking power. I kind of don't know what to do. I mean, there's one more option that I could do without, you know, getting in the motor and whatnot. And that's replace the wiring for the ignition coils. Or I could just take it to my mechanic and have them figure it out. It's a 4.2, it's an Audi. I know they are problematic. I get it, I get it. But, I mean, it is what it is. It's a beautiful car though. One more thing I do want to do is actually check if the misfire moved to a different cylinder. And possibly clear it and run it again, because I did not clear it before. So if I remember correctly, it was cylinder 6 and 8. So there's our 8, there's our 6. Okay. So far no changes. I just took it down the street, and of course it turned on real quick. So 6 and 8. Oh, now we even have 7. So I'm gonna do more research what it could be, see how hard it is to replace the ignition coil wiring. But the fact that cylinder 7 came up almost makes me think that it's a motor issue. Motor could be done.
Several days later.
We're zooming back at the Audi, so I've been kind of stumped. And next step, we're actually going to do a compression test. So to kind of save time, disconnected the electrical. The only thing I have to do is pull out the plugs. And then I bought this, honestly, probably 2 years ago. I've never used it. So that will be my first time using a compression tool. And we're going to see what the compression is on these cylinders. And if one of them is low, then honestly, this car is going to go back to the auction. But, you know, it's a learning curve. And if someone is gonna say, hey, why don't you check compression before doing all of this, blah, blah, blah. Well, because I do a lot of cars, and 99% of the time it's sparks and it's ignition coils. This is the first time where a misfire did not go away. Actually, second time. First time was on a Range Rover. That was 4 years ago, and I didn't do the work. But like personally, with me doing the work, this is the first time it's gotten down to like the nitty gritty what I'm doing right now. So before, statistically, spark plugs, ignition coils, that worked. Misfires went away, cars drove fine. So that's why I approached it this way. And then I did injectors, which, you know, another step that's kind of the following step. So now we're actually gonna check the compression, and if it's slow, then unfortunately, no more Audi. Is gonna go back to the auction, and we'll see what's gonna happen with it from there. All right, here we go, guys. If the battery's still good. Okay, here we go. So, all right, well, here's our first one. good reading. So what are we at, like 100, 105? Second one. Here's our third one. So far, they're all good. So I'm just gonna run through them. So look, this was the cylinder that was misfiring, that one that was misfiring, but compression is almost identical between the three already. I am gonna check the rest of them, but I'm gonna do it off camera so we kind of speed up the process. So what's the verdict, guys? All cylinders pretty much capped out at around 120 PSI. There were some that were like 115, 118. A few on the passenger side were like 122, 123. But using the 15% difference, I would say it's good. Reading on forums, these engines should be producing more pressure, but because only 2 cylinders are misfiring and they are so close to pressure with each other, that honestly I think for now it's okay. It's not an issue that I'll be kind of looking into. So honestly, now I need to find a good electrician, person that knows computers, especially Audis, see if they could diagnose it and kind of go from there. I guess now I can comfortably say this is as far as I'm gonna take it. Like, I have almost no electrical knowledge, so I don't even know where to start to properly diagnose the thing. So yeah, I have a few contacts, so I'll probably reach out to them and go from there. So battery is pretty weak. I'm actually gonna try to drive it just a little bit. But see, unfortunately, I put it into gear and I start to feel it. So, never mind. Yeah, I decided to drive it. Just to see, maybe all that work will, I don't know. But I'm not pushing it at all. And honestly, without pushing it, it seems to be doing just fine. Like, it kind of feels alive. Shift's good. Seems to be running pretty solid. I'm gonna let it warm up a little bit and then maybe try to push it a little bit, who knows. Lower RPMs, it honestly does just fine. So like regular cruising, once I go a little bit over 3,000, that's when it starts to misfire. So like this right here, totally fine. Could get comfortably up to speed and whatnot. As soon as I push it, there he goes.
Several days later.
So guys, I'm driving the S4. Honestly, like, if you don't push it over 3,000 RPM, this thing runs really well. I did what, like 20 something miles on it. But honestly, I think I'm just gonna take it to IA and have them sell it for me and see what happens.
The next day.
The decision has been made. The day has come. This Audi is going to the auction. And honestly, to some extent, I'm just kind of curious what's gonna happen. Will I make money? Will I lose money? If nothing happens, then I'll take it back and continue tinkering with it. Well, the car made it. It has a spoiler.
Yeah, and so exhaust.
Yeah.
Like, let's go to exhaust.
Dang. So guys, very disappointed that I didn't really get to enjoy it. I do think that this car did have genuine carbon fiber trim pieces. See all of that? That's not a wrap. I tried to peel it off. It's definitely not a wrap. And I mean, the whole interior is done this way. Like all of that, I mean, everywhere the like aluminum trim was, they put carbon fiber, which I'm assuming is not cheap. It has really nice wheels, heated seats in the back. I mean, these seats are super comfortable, factory Recaro seats. Anyways, so I'm gonna go drop the title off and hopefully make $1,000 or so on this car, but we'll see.
2,000 years later.
Well guys, it's been probably 2 months since I dropped it off at IAA. And clearly, I still have the Audi. So, off video, I picked up the Audi because it wasn't doing number-wise what I wanted it to do. And then I took it to Mannheim. I let it run through Mannheim, I think 2 or 3 weeks. It wasn't getting the money I thought it would get. Now I have it. At this time, I think I'm kind of over it. Just so that I kind of don't look at it again, I'm gonna take it back to the auction, and then whatever money I get for it is whatever I'm gonna get for it. So it's kind of where I am mentally. I've had the car for a long time, months now. I think currently the car, out of all the cars I have, this is the one I've had the longest. So, you know, during those months I've learned a lot, and I think it's probably a timing chain issue. I know these motors are kind of notorious for timing chain problems. The whole kit, parts, and whatnot, you could find them for like 500 bucks on the cheaper end, about $1,000 for a pretty solid one, plus labor, however much it's gonna cost. At this time, I'm 4,600 bucks into the car, so I just want to break even, move on. It books for almost 9 grand, so technically if I were to put money into, say, 2 grand to fix it up, I'd be what, 600 bucks into it. I could still make money on this car, but you know, it's like the love is gone. I have no interest in it anymore. I mean, like, to me, it's a beautiful car. It's well spec'd. It has a factory sticker inside, which shows, I think, off the dealership floor, it was around 58 grand, if I remember correctly. And the carbon fiber package I mentioned, that's actually factory. So it has a factory carbon fiber package for the interior, the trims I showed you guys. But anyways, I'm done with the car. I'm done with this video. I appreciate you guys watching. If you are not a subscriber, please make sure you do subscribe to the channel. There are so many more cars to buy, so many more videos to make. Make sure you don't miss anything. I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate your time. I'll see you guys in another video.